Hello students, welcome to Reader's Workshop. We've been learning about how readers build good habits. The most important habit for reading is to be thinking while you're reading. You know how I always stop and say that? I've got to stop and think because reading is thinking. Well, I really mean it because it's only when you think about what's going on in the story that you can be sure that you understand things, right? So there are three main things you should be thinking about while you read the story. Number one, you want to think about the characters. Who's in the story? Who? Notice that's one of those W question words. Who? Number two, you want to be wondering about the setting. The setting is two things. The setting, can you say setting? Is where and when. Again, two W question words. Where and when. Where is the story happening? Where? Like in the country, in the city, in someone's house, up on a mountain, at the bottom of the ocean. And when? Is it happening now in modern times? Is it happening a long, long time ago? Is it happening in the future? Okay, so where and when. And then the third thing you want to be thinking about, paying attention to in the story is what we call the plot. Plot, that is what is happening. What's happening in the beginning and the middle and the end. Okay, so again, you want to be wondering characters, who's in the story? Are they animals? Are they people? Are they space aliens? Where and when is the story happening and what? So we're going to practice that a little bit and just keep talking about that more while we read our books. Oh, and a little reminder, if this is sounding familiar, this is like the same thing we pay attention to when we write a story, right? So reading and writing are so connected. And just like we always want to be asking, who's in the story? Where is it happening? When is it happening? What is happening? When we write our stories, we want to be sure that we're explaining who, what, where, when is going on in our stories too. Okay, so for today, we are going to read Madeline. And some of you may have heard of Madeline before. On the front, if I sneak peek, I see a tall lady. That's the kind of lady I think called a nun. She's a religious person who sometimes teaches in a school or watches over children in a school. And I see a bunch of girls in yellow dresses. How many? I've got to count, right? One, I could count by twos because they're in two lines. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. 12. But there's a little one kind of looking back with a smile, with a little grin. I wonder if it's Madeline. And I wonder if she's a little mischievous. Okay, and what I see is there's a picture of an interesting structure, an interesting kind of tower. I'm not sure if you know what that is. I'll tell you. It's called the Eiffel Tower. And it's a famous tall tower in a big famous city in the country called France. And this is in Paris, the capital city of France. Just like we live close to our capital, the capital of our country is Washington, D.C., and it's just very close by here. So the capital of the country, France, is Paris. And this is a big famous thing that they have in Paris. And on the back, there's a picture. There's a picture of that little girl. I think that must be Madeline. And she's looking at a tiger in the zoo, and she does not look afraid. And it says, the tiger in the zoo, Madeline just said, poo-poo. Like she's not afraid, right? Okay, so I already know, I think, who. I think Madeline must be an important character because the book is named after her. She's in the title, and these girls must be part of it. And where? I think it must happen in the city of Paris. And when? I don't know, maybe now. Let's see what happens. Okay, oh, and here in the end papers, I see a big kind of square, an open area in a city with a fountain and a kind of a monument that looks like the monument we have here, like the Washington Monument, but it is not. It's a monument like that in Paris, and this place is called Place de la Concorde, and it's like a famous place there. So this is reminding us again, the story happens in the big famous city of Paris. And there I see the girls walking through the square. Madeline. Story and pictures by Ludwig Bemelmans, Puffin Books. Here we go. Oh, look. Okay. So these illustrations are interesting. Just yellow, black, and white. But that's very clear. I see an old house. In an old house in Paris that was covered with vines, lived 12 little girls in 2 straight lines. In 2 straight lines, they broke their bread. Oh, they're eating together. And brushed their teeth and went to bed. Okay, so they do everything together. I'm starting to wonder if it's like a school, like a boarding school, right? That's where children go to live and go to school. I actually did that when I was young. I want to call your attention to, it says they broke their bread. When we say breaking bread, that's an expression. It's a phrase that means eating a meal together. It doesn't mean just eating bread or just breaking up pieces of bread. It means eating a meal together. So let's reread that just one more time to enjoy the sound of it. In an old house in Paris that was covered with vines, lived 12 little girls in 2 straight lines. In 2 straight lines, they broke their bread and brushed their teeth and went to bed. They smiled at the good. There's a pretty lady with a pretty horse being nice to the horse. And frowned at the bad. Oh my goodness, you can see they are all frowning and they see a robber running away from the police. And frowned at the bad. And sometimes they were very sad. Oh, there in the cold, snowy weather, it looks like they see a soldier with a broken leg. I guess they feel sorry for him. They left the house at 9:30 in 2 straight lines. Oh, so that's like at 9:30. They go marching around together, looking around the city, going for walks. In rain or shine. Wow, and these are more famous places in Paris. This is a famous church called Notre Dame or Notre Dame. And this is a famous place with a fountain and gardens. It's called the Tuileries. The smallest one was Madeline. She was not afraid of mice. She loved winter, snow, and ice. To the tiger in the zoo, Madeline just said, poo-poo. That's from the back, right? And nobody knew so well how to frighten Miss Clavel. Oh my goodness, look, the girls are walking across the bridge and Madeline is walking on the top edge of the bridge. Oh my goodness, that's terrible. So I got to stop and think for a sec because reading is thinking. So we do know, and we had our sneak peek, we check our sneak peek, we know who the characters are. It's about these little girls going around the town, right, from the boarding school, and Madeline is the main character, and she's kind of brave, right? Where is it? It's in Paris. When? Looks, seems like kind of modern times, maybe a little while back, right? Maybe a little while back. And what is going on? So far, we're just getting to know the girls, how they go around the city of Paris, right? But I think something's going to happen now. In the middle of the night, Miss Clavel turned on her light and said, "Something is not right." Uh-oh, so that's the nun who watches over them all the time. Oh, the pages are sticky, I'm sorry. Little Madeline sat in bed, cried and cried, her eyes were red. And soon after Dr. Cone came, he rushed out to the phone. Have you noticed it rhymes? And he dialed Danton 106. "Nurse," he said, "it's an appendix." Everybody had to cry, not a single eye was dry. Madeline was in his arm, in a blanket safe and warm. So it turns out she has a problem with her appendix. It's a part of your body that she needs to go to the hospital to get fixed. In a car with a red light, they drove out into the night. Okay, and again, we can see the Eiffel Tower in the background. Madeline woke up 2 hours later in a room with flowers. So I guess she's better now in the hospital. Madeline soon ate and drank. On her bed there was a crank. Drank, crank. They're really making it rhyme. And there's the nurse bringing her food. And a crack on the ceiling had the habit of sometimes looking like a rabbit. Outside were birds, trees, and sky, and so 10 days passed quickly by. One nice morning, Miss Clavel said, "Isn't this a fine day to visit," there they go on the bus, "Madeline?" And there they are buying some flowers to take to Madeline in the hospital. Visitors from 2 to 4 read a sign outside the door. Tiptoeing with solemn face, that's like serious faces, with some flowers and a vase. Here they come. In they walked, and then said, "Ah!" when they saw the toys and candy and the dollhouse from Papa. But the biggest surprise by far, on her stomach was a scar. So when you get your appendix taken out to make you better, it leaves like a little scar, a mark on your skin. And Madeline is showing that off proudly on her tummy. Look at all the fun things in her room that her dad sent to help her get better, to help her feel okay. "Goodbye," they said, "we'll come again." And the little girls left in the rain. So they said goodbye. They went home. It was raining. Ooh, they don't look too happy. They went home and broke their bread, brushed their teeth, and went to bed. In the middle of the night, Miss Clavel turned on her light and said, "Something is not right." And afraid of a disaster, Miss Clavel ran fast and faster. She's running, something's wrong. Oh, she's coming to their room. And she said, "Please, children, do tell me what is troubling you." And all the little girls cried, "Boo, boo, we want to have our appendix out too." They all want their appendix out. Do you know why? Let's see. "Good night, little girls. Thank the Lord you are well. And now go to sleep," said Miss Clavel. And she turned out the light and closed the door. And that's all there is. There isn't any more. And look, the words get littler and littler to remind you there isn't any more. That's the end of the story. So why do you think the girls wanted their appendix out too? Should we go back and check to be sure? If I'm thinking what happened, because we know who, Madeline and her friends, and then Madeline had the stomach problem, right? It was in Paris, when was it? And what happened? She had the stomach problem. She had to go to the hospital to get better. But then what happened when her friends all came to visit her? Remember, they were just amazed at all the wonderful toys and things that she had from her dad. So they all wanted to be able to get the same stuff, to end up in the hospital and get cool, fun stuff to help them get better. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed Madeline, a wonderful classic. And I hope that you are thinking about on your next book, you're going to pay attention to the characters, who, the setting, where, when, and the plot. What is going on? I'll see you later. Bye.